Missing radioactive capsule found on remote road in Australia. The capsule was found 2 meters from the road on the northern stretch of the Great Northern Highway. Brisbane, Australia CNN. Authorities scanning a remote Australian highway for a tiny missing radioactive capsule have found it by the roadside after a challenging search likened to trying to find a needle in the high haystack. State emergency authorities announced the discovery on Wednesday afternoon, 6 days after the capsule containing highly radioactive Section 137 was discovered missing from the package sent hundreds of kilometers from the Rio Tinto mining site in northern Western Australia to the capital Perth. Locating this object was the monumental challenge. The search groups have quite literally found the needle in the haystack, State Emergency Services Minister Stephen Dawson said in a news conference Wednesday. The capsule's disappearance sparked a massive search of the highway with a specialized radiation detection unit and prompt warnings to the public not to approach the capsule, which could cause serious burns on contact with skin. Authorities believe the capsule, about 8 millimeters high and 6 millimeters round, somehow fell off the back of the truck as it was being transported 1,400 kilometers, 870 miles along the Great Northern Highway from the mine. Search teams found the missing capsule not far from the Rio Tinto mine, suggesting it fell off the truck soon after departure. Rio Tinto, which had been using the device in the gauge at its Gudai-Dari iron ore mine, said it regularly transports and stores dangerous goods as part of its business and hires expert contractors to handle radioactive materials. In a statement Wednesday, Chief Executive Simon Trott said the company was incredibly grateful for the work undertaken to find the capsule and once again apologized to the community for its loss. While the discovery of the capsule is the great testament to the skill and tenacity of the search team, the fact is it should never have been lost in the first place, he said. We are taking this incident very seriously and are undertaking a full and thorough investigation into how it happened. Members of the Department of the Fire and Emergency Services searched for the radioactive capsule on the outskirts of Perth, Australia on January 28, 2023. Authorities said the missing capsule was detected at 11:13 a.m. local time Wednesday, 2 meters from the road just south of the small town of Newman by Cruz using radiation detection equipment. Officials said the 20-meter exclusion zone had been set up around the capsule and it would be transferred to the lead container before being taken to the security facility in Newman. On Thursday, it would start its journey south again, this time to a health department facility in Perth. Chief Health Officer and the Chair of the Radiological Council, Andrew Robertson, said it doesn't appear that anyone was exposed to the capsule's radiation during the time it was missing. It does not appear to have moved. It appears to have fallen off the truck and landed on the side of the road. It is remote enough that it's not in any major community, so it is unlikely that anybody have been exposed to the capsule, he said. Illustration provided by Western Australia's Department of Health shows the size of the capsule compared to a coin. How did it happen? The Department of Emergency Services, WA, The FES raised the alarm on Friday, alerting a resident to the presence of the radioactive spill in the state, including in the northeastern suburb of Perth, home to around 2 million people. According to authorities, the capsule was placed inside the package on January 10th and collected from Rio Tinto's Gudai-Dari mine site by a contractor on January 12th. The vehicle spent 4 days on the road and arrived in Perth on January 16th, but it was only unloaded for inspection on January 25. When it was discovered the capsule was missing, the incident came as a shock to the expert who said that handling of radioactive materials like cesium 137 is highly regulated by strict protocols for its transport, storage, and disposal. Around 100 people joined the search for the capsule along a highway in Western Australia. Radiation Services (WA) says radioactive substances are transported throughout the Western Australia on a daily basis without any issues. In this case, there seems to be a failure of the control measures typically implemented. It said in a statement, adding that it had nothing to do with the capsule's loss. DFES Commissioner Darren Clem said the capsule was found in the best possible area due to its remote location, and to find it in such a short amount of time was amazing. A lot of work went in around the metro or area based on some intelligence early on, so you can't help but imagine there was an element of surprise for the people in the car when the equipment spiked, he said. A member of the incident management team coordinated the search for the radioactive capsule lost in transit. Section 137 can create the serious health problems for people who come into contact with it. It burns from close exposure, radiation sickness, and potentially deadly cancer risk, especially for those exposed unknowingly for long periods of time. Robertson, a chief health officer, said that standing 1 meter from the capture for 1 hour would be the equivalent of receiving the radiation dose of 10 X-rays. Officers had feared the capture could have become lodged in the tires of another vehicle and transported far from the search zone. It could also have been taken from the area by an animal or worse, picked up and kept by someone unaware of the dangers. And the risk wasn't just in the short term. Section 137 has the half-life of about 30 years, which means that after 3 decades, the cesium's radioactivity would halve, and after 60 years, it would halve again, meaning the lost capsule could have remained radioactive for as long as 300 years. Robertson said it was unlikely the capsule had contaminated the surrounding soil as it sat unattended for days by the highway, each encased in stainless steel, so it's unlikely that, unless there's have been substantial damage to the actual source itself, which is unlikely from the 4x4 from the back of the truck, that truck that there will be any contamination in the area. Robertson is investigating the capsule's disappearance and will submit a report to the health minister in the coming weeks. Dawson, the emergency services minister, said the capsule's recovery was the extraordinary result. I think Western Australians can sleep better tonight, he added.